What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Talking Blue. I'm Matthew Mooney alongside Luke Langella. We are joined by Nick Bigelow. He has been on a few episodes recently, and we are going to be talking about the New York Giants win over the Philadelphia Eagles. And then after this, we'll be talking to Nick about the Jets win over the New England Patriots. So first off, let's just talk about the win against the Eagles. It was a very nice game. I know it was meaningless, but the same time, we beat Philadelphia. That's honestly all what matters. You get the win against Philadelphia, you're good. To end the season, we have the sixth overall pick in the draft. I think it's a great pick, and I know some people wanted us to tank just to get a quarterback. It's not the end of the world that we didn't get one, but I mean, like the top five pick, I was kind of hoping for one for us to win, and then to see the Chargers win, so we could get the fifth overall pick. They have it. It's not the end of the world. We can get a really good draft class. And, we finally just beat Philadelphia. Luke, tell me your thoughts on the game.
Yeah, you go out there, meaningless football game, but you've lost to Philly. I think it was the last five, and you go in there and you just kick them in the ass. That's really the
Yeah.
best way to say it. You destroy the team. You beat them 27-10. It wasn't even close. You go up 24-0 on Jalen Hurts and this starting offense, this starting defense, this team that they're saying could potentially win the Super Bowl. And we saw on Christmas what the Giants' ability were, and then everything hits. Tyrod has another great game. Darius Slayton big game. Wandell big game. Barkley big game. The line played well. I mean, Waller had the head top on Bradbury defensively. We got pressure when we needed. X came up big. We had the defensive backs played great. Cordell Flott clamped up. Nick McLeod, big game, forced fumble. I mean, everyone played great, and it kind of showed us what this team could be next year. They have a lot of pieces they have to re-sign, and we'll get to that. But I was really impressed with seeing all these guys go out there and ball out because that's what we've been waiting to see. And and to say it's meaningless, I think you just don't understand that when you've lost so many games against a team, it just feels like every year it's just gonna be another loss. Every year, just Philly's gonna be better than the Giants, and we had the higher point differential. We were better than Philly this year, in my opinion. I'm saying head to head, we played Philly better than they played us. They played one good first half on us when they went up 20-3 on us, and the other three halves we dominated Philly. Dominated Philly. It wasn't even close. And Nick, tell me a little bit what you were seeing out there.
Overall, I felt like they played really well. They were well coached in that game. I felt the play calling. They called plays to their guys' strength. Tyrod Taylor, he went out there and balled. He threw for what, 300 passing yards, a
Yeah,
couple of
ran for 30.
touchdowns. Saquon, great game, and what could be, we're gonna get into it later, but could be his last game as a New York
Yeah.
Giant, which I know 99% of the Giants fan base, they don't want to see it, but it's definitely a possibility. I felt also it was great to see them win, and they didn't really lose any draft pick. I think Luke said they went down one draft pick, not the end of
Yep.
the world. I said it before talking about the Jets as well. If these GMs are good at their job, they'll find an impactful and meaningful player in any slot in the draft. So overall, they played really well coached, played to their guys' strengths, and beat Philly, which is something I felt they really needed to do. I said at the beginning they should have won one out of two games this year against Philly, no matter what, and they ended up doing that.
Yeah,
Agreed.
and one thing that you said, beat Philly, and that's a term that we like to hear more. We're all New York sports fans. We hate Philly. I mean, that's clear. Regardless of your take in one of your sports, you have to hate Philly. That's part of being a New York fan. And I was able to attend every Giants home game this year, and the atmosphere it swayed in the beginning really high, it got really low in the middle, and then this game there was a lot of Eagles fans, but the Giants fans that were there, they were rocking, and it was rocking early at MetLife Stadium, and
Yeah,
that's what you love. You saw the Philly hatred, you saw the people heckling each other, you saw the people going at it, and that's what this rivalry has to get back to, and that's what the Dallas rivalry has to get back to. Washington too is playing smash mouth football against your rival. You should hate Philly, you should hate Dallas, and you should hate Washington. You get to play them 6 times. You should go out there every time, establish that hatred that Lawrence Taylor, Carl Banks worked for years. Phil Simms played in those games were so gritty. That's what I felt like when I was watching this game. We were just better than them, stronger than them, and we went out there and showed it against our rival. That's exactly what you need. A team that beat us in the playoffs last year, Matt.
and I'm not sure if it was just me, but I started laughing when Philly started to take their starters out once the Giants were up. I just started laughing. I was like, it was just great to see Philly finally
Yeah,
fail. And it
Yeah.
sounds
yeah.
so like you get what I mean. It's just it was great to see. I mean, the
It's a
Jets
great
beat them
feeling.
earlier in the year, and that was great. But just great. It was so
Yeah.
good to see.
And
Nobody
Matt,
likes.
me and Matt talked a lot about it. And Matt and I talked a lot about it earlier in the year. How much we hated Philly. We were so frustrated to see the Giants lose 3 games last year, two really important ones. The biggest, obviously, in the division around the playoffs. You go to Philly and you just get kicked and kicked and kicked for 4 quarters of football. And we kind of gave them a taste of their own medicine, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I said it before the season. Like I said all along last offseason, the Giants were going to beat Philadelphia once. I just kind of knew it was going to happen because like I kind of expected like this season like the Giants to be better, which just went according to plan. Just everything this year went wrong, and obviously we're not going to the playoffs. They are. I kind of expected them to have a very hot start and then fall off to the second half of the year. Yeah, so now we're in the off season, and that's really just like everything's just kind of like in the past now. So
Yeah.
you got to put it in the rear view mirror. Like especially the playoff loss was Philadelphia left a bad taste in our mouths for a while. Coming up, the 1 year anniversary is going to be coming up very soon, which it was a horrible game. And
Yeah.
also I want to talk about the offseason right now because a couple big moves have been made in the Giants coaching staff. But offensive line coach Bobby Johnson and special teams coordinator Thomas McGahee both got fired. We are both very happy about this because, these are big impacts. And like the Giants have done a horrible job at both those positions this season.
Yeah.
Obviously, offensive line, just not being able to develop anyone. And just special teams has been abysmal this year. What are your thoughts on everything that happened, Luke?
Yeah, we made the moves that we had to make, and you talk about having balls. We always like that from what we've seen Dable and shown. They have the balls to make moves, and this is a time where they had to make moves. You had to get rid of Bobby Johnson. He's just been horrendous. Been here for a little while now. Did nothing. Special teams coordinator. It's unfortunate because they did show some flashes on special teams. I won't deny them that credit, but you just missing easy opportunities. They weren't able to tackle on punt returns, missed field goals, blocked field goals. Those can't happen. This is special teams. I mean, this is
Yeah.
supposed to be executed. When your punt returner goes out there, you should know he's going to catch the ball. When your field goal kicker lines up anywhere under 50 yards, he should be able to nail that without a question. And that's not what we had this year. I mean, it's simple. And I mean, the frustration was there. We lost our running back coach. We lost our outside linebacker coach. Let's look at outside linebacker. Where's the production? We were ranked 70th in the outside linebacker statistics. So you want to talk about, yes, we did get some pressure. Yes, we had a lot of turnovers this year, but it still wasn't good enough because Kayvon only had 11 half sacks and Aziz and Jihad just didn't have enough. You can't do that. I mean, your outside linebackers, we knew it. We needed a 10 sack season of Aziz Ojulari. I think we talked about it all off season. This was his year to have a breakout year. He got hurt again, and that can't happen, and just was ineffective on the field. And Kayvon, who had such a nice start, just started to sputter out. So that goes on coaching, I think. I really do. That maybe they're doing something wrong. So he got fired. We look at this team now, and then the big guy who we all don't know what to say about, Wink Martindale resigning. Obviously, he flew home to Florida today. He's done with the Giants as it seems, and now we got to move forward. And Nick, I know we were talking earlier a little bit about it, but what direction do we go now, knowing that Wink Martindale, the heart of our team, probably the one of the best coaches defensively in the NFL, and a guy that gave us a chance to win in every single game this year. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, well, I will say one thing. I saw a tweet, I believe it was Jordan Renan this morning, said Wink Martindale has not officially submitted his, letter of resignation. So it's not official yet. But I did see also a tweet. It was Brian Daboll tried to fix this relationship. Wink
Yeah,
Martindale didn't want to. Was essentially
yeah,
how this kind of went out. So I truly think Wink Martindale wanted to leave through before, whether it's behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about that will come out in the future, and also when they started to fire his staff, as me and Luke were talking about earlier. I feel like that's kind of defensive coordinator, they bring in their guys, and when they see their guys go, the people that they rely on, and obviously for Wink also, he knows he's probably going to get another defensive coordinator job in the future. So there's nothing really. And I think the Giants are pretty well set actually at defense coordinator. I think either Antonio Pierce we were talking about, former captain of the Giants. I also said potentially Mike McDonald from the Ravens. If he does not get a head coaching job, I can see him jumping ship to New York because Ravens defense, there's so much talent there, and he really developed those guys. See Kyle Hamilton, he played absolutely tremendous this year. If he comes to the Giants and he puts guys in great positions to succeed, Kayvon Thibodeau becomes more consistent. Hopefully, Azeez Ojulari stays healthy. Those guys become really big players on this defense for another year. I think that gives him a better possibility at a head coaching job, especially in that New York market where everybody's going to see all the highs and all the lows.
And I think the big reason, I think Matt and I were talking about it earlier, for Antonio Pierce to become here is Super Bowl champion. He knows what it takes to win in New York. He knows what it takes to win a championship in Super Bowl in New York. And when you say in New York, it's not like in Kansas City. It's not like in Kansas City. In Kansas City, they're not calling for your neck. It's not like in Los Angeles. They're not calling for your neck. It's not like in all these other places in the country because New York is its own thing. It's do or die. It's win or lose. There is no middle. There's no okay. There's no, oh, you went 9-8 average. No, that's not how New York works. You either are excellent or you're bad. And that's the way, as fans, we expect to see the show on the field. And this year, there was no middle. It was just abysmal, Matt. It was just horrible. You can't lose that many games in the last 2 minutes. That comes down to coaching. That's where we need changing. But at big opportunities, our defense couldn't hold up. On big opportunities, our offense couldn't hold up. That comes down to coaching. That has to be adjusted. Antonio Pierce knows what it takes. He's done it before, Matt. So how do you feel about that? Because obviously we got to fix some things. You can't lose that many games in the last 2 minutes, and we expect nothing more than excellence. We have the talent on the defense. We just need someone to bring it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think Antonio Pierce would really be a good fit for the Giants because he's played in New York. He knows, like what you just said, like what it's like. The pressure in New York is surreal. It's very intense. It's not an easy environment to play in. Like we've said many times on the podcast, like not just football for like the Giants and Jets, but like every other sport, not easy playing in New York. There's a lot of pressure. The fans, the media get onto you when you're not playing well. It's a nasty environment. And like some people, like some stars in leagues are stars on teams in one city, and then they come to New York and then their career goes horribly wrong. And I think another guy the Giants should consider hiring is Leslie Frazier, Bill's defensive coordinator. He's worked with Brian Daboll, and I think he'd like to bring him into the coaching staff. And I think he'd be another really good option aside from Antonio Pierce. What do you think about that?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah,
the rumors right before Nick, the rumors. Remember last year there was all these rumors about bring him in, and he came and then obviously decided to take the year off. Nick, you know him pretty well going against the Jets, and having some good years in there in Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Did he end up resigning from Buffalo, or was it just he decided to take a year off?
He decided to take a year off. Yes.
Yeah. His defense always schemed out very well. They can blitz. They always had guys on the back end. He developed a lot of players like Davius White, what we know him now to be. He's very good corner. Poyer, Micah Hyde. They always use those guys to their strengths. I think that's actually the most likely scenario for the Giants. Now thinking about it, especially that connection. That means everything in the NFL. If you know somebody, that's your foot in the door. And I think Leslie Frazier can be a very good defense coordinator with the Giants. Especially, you guys have a lot of talent in place. Yeah. And we'll get into it. But Xavier McKinney, I think he's important to re-sign.
Yeah.
You got to have consistency on the back end. I think him and Banks. And then either McLeod we were talking about, he's turned into a pretty good player, slot corner, outside corner. And then figure it out from there. Obviously, Adoree Jackson, that's most likely up in the air at this point. But I feel like I said it to Luke. You can't bring in somebody that's a rookie that you're going to develop into even better defense coordinator. I feel like he has to be a proven guy in the NFL, whether it's
Yeah.
Pierce, whether it's Fisher, or somebody we're not thinking of. Even in house, I could see.
Yeah.
Fisher very good with you guys.
Yeah, and another thing, Matt. Obviously today the Giants requested to interview the Raiders lineman Carmen Bracello, has hit the coach, and interesting. Giants getting right into it. We already have Giants assistant GM. He already has an interview with a few teams, Carolina being one of them. And they did say the Giants will receive a third round pick if he for 2024, 2024, 5 if he does leave. And that's another thing about Wink though. He's still 1 year on his contract. Today we saw him fly home. Inside sources have said that he decided to just walk out on the Giants. Hasn't really said much to them, but it's leaning towards that he won't be coming back next year. Teams have already requested interviews with him. So the thing is, you can't just walk out when you have a contract. So Giants will definitely receive some stuff, and it will probably be a tough for him to just leave and maybe a trade, or there'll definitely be some ways to work out what's left on his contract. Giants will receive compensation down the road to look at it that way. Um, and we look at this defense, and we have so many nice pieces there, so many guys we could develop. Kayvon Thibodeau, Nick McLeod. Uh, you have on the back end Dane Belton. All these young players, young and hungry. Deontay Banks, Malcolm McFadden, Bobby Okereke's proven himself. You look on the D line, you got some young guys like Jordan Riley there, and all these guys you look to develop and put them in the best position. A lot of these guys have been balling out. Dane Belton, no one's been talking about him. They talked about him last week. He had another excellent game, a sack and a tackle for loss. He's playing downhill football. That's what you need out of your safeties, and that's what it seems like Wink's been able to get since he's been here. Xavier McKinney's been playing downhill football. Jason Pinnock. We have three very solid safeties. And that comes down to the offseason. We're going to have to sign these guys, Matt. We only have so much money. We have a lot of free agents this year, and a lot of these guys are underrated, but I feel like we need to keep this defense together. You lost your coaching staff. You can't lose this team. We can't go into another rebuild because that will just destroy the Daboll era. It will end. He will get fired next year if they go through another rebuild, and I think that's essential to keeping this team together, Matt.
Yeah, I agree with you because this is another really big offseason for the Giants. Currently, at the moment, the New York Giants have $47.6 million in free agency. Well, in cap space, my bad. It could go up, could go down, but that's a good amount of money to have. Last year we had like 56 million, I think, which okay, last year it was better, but we still have a lot of money. We could get at least most of these guys back that we have that most of the free agents that we have back. And we still have like if we resign like a lot of all the key guys, we'll still have some money to get some like other star players in free agency. So we're gonna also have to make like a big splash in free agency this offseason and in the draft as well.
And Matt, I know we were texting earlier. Tell us a little bit about some of those receiver prospects you're interested in for receiver free agency guys first.
Yeah, so another thing is like the free agent receiver class last year sucked, and there really weren't any good wide receiver options for the Giants. Like there's some okay guys, but like none of them really like would jump off the page to you. If if you saw the list, you could look it up. It's all over. You could probably find it anywhere. But I want to talk about like how like the four best guys, like me and Luke were talking about this earlier today. The four best free agent receivers this year are T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, and Hollywood Brown. Those are four very good receivers in free agency. And bringing in one of those guys to the Giants would really be a really big impact because you need to get a wide receiver one for this offense and you need an offensive line. And you just fix up the offensive line, just get two guards and a star receiver in free agency would be great. And then you guys are probably going to call me crazy for this. I say I don't care if we just get one star wide receiver. First round of the draft, I'm taking Malik Neighbors. I don't know what you guys think. Leave a comment down below, but this offense needs firepower. I think that's the only way we can become a very productive offense. What do you think about that, Luke?
Yeah, so what we saw the last few weeks, and I think everyone could agree, Philly, uh, the Rams and Philly in particular this team had explosive plays. This team was exploding explosively down the field, and they're talking about it. I think was it maybe it was at least it was like over 5 plays, over 15 yards, and that's unheard of for Giants Nation. I mean, we're consistently losing 15 yards per play, and getting in the positive yards is just big. And then now we're actually hitting on plays, chunk plays. This is what we've wanted all year. We're just looking at the playmakers. Obviously, high not as much, but it's been Wandell and Slayton, two of our underrated receivers. Wandell coming off that knee injury, they said it would take him a while to get back. And they said towards the end of the year, they felt like his knee was back, and he showed 5 catches, 85 yards. Darius Slayton, Mr. Consistent, 5 catches, 62 yards, another touchdown for him. He finishes with another big year. I mean, you talk about consistency. Those guys, what you're going to get out of them. Darius Slayton will make big plays down the stretch. Now, Wando is coming out as a playmaker. You have 2 guys. You add 2 more guys. You have Hyatt. Maybe that's a pretty good receiver core. Malik Neighbors, you bring in a guy like Pittman, you got Slayton, and you got Wandell. Wandell obviously is your slot. I would say that'd be a dirty receiver core. Matt, Nick,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts?
Let's hear Nick's thoughts.
Yeah, also I throw in when Matt was talking about, he said T. Higgins, Pittman, and Hollywood Brown. I'd also throw in Calvin Ridley into that conversation.
Oh, that's right. He's a free agent.
He'll also be a free agent upcoming year. Yeah. One thing about Pittman is I also want the Jets to get him. I'll talk about that later. I think he's going to be franchised over in Dallas. Maybe if tagging trade. I truly don't think that'll happen. But I think T. Higgins fits. He's a big receiver. He's really big. He can go make catches. Him, Hyatt, Wanda, I feel like they complement each other perfectly. And then a guy like Malik Neighbors in the draft as well. Rome Dunze from Washington. He had a nice game last night. Deep threat all over the field. And then Ricky also. Another option. He can do it. Rounds, deep passes, all 3 levels of the field. And Tiggs also, he has a blocking factor into the equation, and like that. His receivers, big bodies, block into space. I would playmakers to make plays.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I think my getting another receiver in the draft, like I think 2-star receivers is really how we're gonna the Giants would really go up. And I think Michael Pittman to the Jets would work out very well for you guys. I think you guys could use another receiver. Just signing any of these guys in free agency. I'm not saying we're gonna get any of these guys. Like signing a guy like either, I don't know, like T. Higgins, Marquise Brown, Mike Evans, or Michael Pittman. Signing one of those guys in free agency alone is gonna have a big impact on this offense. And we're gonna definitely take a step up for next season, and we need to get another star receiver in the draft. You guys might think, a lot of you guys watching this at home are gonna think I'm overreacting, but adding as much firepower possible is honestly what's gonna be needed, because we added Darren Waller this offseason. He got injured early on. He hasn't done a whole lot. Hoping for a bounce back year next year. We got Jalen Hyatt. We never throw the ball to him. So Barkley is still our offense, pretty much our entire offense. And I want there to be a lot of guys around him. So it's not just him. As much as I love the guy, you need to have more than just one guy leading your offense. What do you think about that, Luke?
Yeah, I mean, it takes a whole team. You can't be one guy oriented. And you look at a lot of teams that do have 1-star. I feel like those teams a lot of times are flatter. I want to talk about a team like the Chargers, Keenan Allen. They've had a great receiver one there for years now, but they haven't been able to win football games. I think that comes down to, you have one good guy, and that's it. So if he ain't making plays, no one is, and that's the problem. You look at what the Giants could have. Wandell, you have Hyatt, you got Slayton, you got Neighbors, Adunze, you got Pittman or Ridley, as we were talking about. Any of those guys, and I would say, this receiver core now it's more of a group, and I think the Giants tried that this year. They did try it. You had Hodgins and Paris Campbell and Shepard. You were thinking maybe you could put sets in them, but it just didn't work. Paris Campbell had 600 yards last year. Jalen Hyatt was the show last year, 450 yards, and was just going off. So both those guys, Paris Campbell, Hodgins came here, re-signed, Campbell signed, thinking they were going to have big years. They thought they were going to have big years, and there wasn't enough time to get all those guys the ball. And it was unfortunate because we had now Paris Campbell, he's done Hodgins, I doubt will resign. And you got it now, you lost those guys, and it was tough to not get everyone involved. But you put some superstars on this team. You tell DJ, whoever your quarterback is. I think right now it seems like DJ. Give him these receivers. I think they could be really good. And then Matt, I know you want to talk about interior linemen.
Yeah, I just want to close this out quickly with talking about the interior offensive line. That's honestly our main struggle. Obviously, we got Burger Flipper who just couldn't make a block on the offensive line, who's just atrocious watching him all year. And we got a new offensive line coach. I think that's really going to help our offensive line take a step up in the next few years rather than going back down or getting even worse than it was this year. It's going to be better next year, depending on who we hire. We need to sign 2 interior offensive linemen. I'll talk a lot about this in the next episode, but but I just want to quickly say, I think the best guy to sign this offseason in the interior offensive line would be Robert Hunt. I think adding him in would make a huge impact on the offensive line. Whoever quarterback is, whether it's Daniel Jones, someone else, or Tommy DeVito, or just Tyrod Taylor, or some other backup guy, or we have another backup who starts. And, it's going to make a big impact on whoever the quarterback is next year. So, our quarterback is going to actually be able to throw the ball and make completions, and we're going to be a much better team. And we could have an explosive playbook with a good offensive line. So, yeah, that was really it for the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe, share this video with a few friends. And, yeah, we'll see you guys later. Let's go Giants.